I could hear it over the loudspeaker. He says, "Eric, I'm so excited I almost can't hold onto the phone," you know.
Hello and welcome to Paydirt TV. I'm Dominic Piper. Today I'm joined by Peter George, Managing Director of Alicanto Minerals. Peter, thanks for coming in.
Oh, great for having you.
Plenty of news to tell us about as well, Peter, with this remarkable intersection you've had from your Sala project in Sweden. You must be delighted with the hit of this type.
Yeah, pretty rapt. It's not every day you sort of hit massive sulphides over nearly 5 metres with 24.5% zinc, 845 grams per tonne silver, and a few percent of lead to boot. So yeah, I was actually up in Sweden. Be about 3-4 weeks ago now, and one of the young geologists actually rang us up while we're in the car on the way out there, and Eric, our chief geologist, picked up the phone, and I could hear it over the loudspeaker. He says, "Eric, I'm so excited I almost can't hold onto the phone," you know. You sort of pricks your ears up when you start to hear that sort of thing. And obviously I knew about this a few weeks ago because we could see it, and this core was just super heavy stuff, and sent it off to the assay labs and it just came back. So yeah, and I wrapped for the boys on the ground to have had that sort of as Eric describes it, once in a lifetime type hit for as far as a geologist is concerned. Hopefully we have an awful lot more to come, but it's fantastic to see all the good work we've done over the last 12 months starting to really hit home now.
Let's have a look at that good work then, because Sala has got a history, as I'm led to believe, of high-grade production, and you've got some high-grade hits there in the past. But this is sort of defined a new zone, if you like. Could all this historical work and your work so far, has this really opened up a new opportunity for Alicanto at Sala?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, we've only been at Sala for a year, believe it or not. So this is for a project that was dead and buried. It's been known about for 500 years, and everyone's been walking over the top of it thinking that it was extinct. But obviously with Eric over there as a chief geologist, an ex-bull leader and senior geologist, and myself with my experience over there, I've kept an eye on this for 25 years. I actually went down there with my father about 25 years ago. But the potential upside is huge, and we've managed to stitch together about 40,000 metres worth of historical drilling and 18,000 metres, which includes 18,000 metres of our own drilling as well, to form a really good package and a very cheap discovery rate for our shareholders. But I think that the main focus that we had from the beginning was around the Prince Lode, which was quite shallow deposit that had been delineated going back into the 80s. I think they found it, and without having really done too much more since then. We've picked up on that and really focused on our expansion drilling in and around that target area. So like I said, looking forward to getting that resource out, and but the hit that we've had yesterday actually sits outside of that, even though it's going to form part of the maiden resource. But we've really got, there's probably several more, but the main two types of formations that we've got there, and we've got the strata-bound sphalerite zinc-dominated ore that we've got in and around the Prince, very high grade, 25% zinc in some situations, and even higher. I think up to 41. I think is the highest zinc hit that we've had there so far. But that's controlled, sort of sits along the granite contact running sort of north-south. But the old Sala mine itself sat on about a 70-degree splay, I guess you could call it, running off to the northwest, which is where they pulled 200 million ounces of silver out of only 5 million tonnes mined, but also down to only 300 metres. So we've had an eye on what's going on there. We've put a few holes into where we believe the extension of Sala is, and we believe that we're onto that now. But we've also, whilst we've been doing this, we've been testing a few theories around potential repeats of the Sala ore body itself. So like I said, we've got the Prince ore body, we've got the Sala extension, but now, with the results that we came up with yesterday, we believe we've hit a repeat within an antiform sitting only 200 metres away from the synform that we believe holds the Sala deposit itself. But and it gets even better than that because we think that there's potential for more repeats of the same thing heading off down towards the southwest. Never had a drill hole in it, but some sensational grab samples at surface. Over 1,400 grams per tonne silver at surface, which just if it had been in Australia, it'd have another 50,000 metres of drilling and probably half been mined out by now. But
Peter, Sweden's obviously got a long mining history dating back thousands of years. How is it then a small Australian company can go in and pick up a project like this?
Yeah, look, and that's a great question, Dom. I think we've been very fortunate, obviously, with my background and Chief Geologist Eric's background. We're ex-Boliden employees going back into the 90s. I had to think then for a second. They changed the law back in Sweden back in 1992. So prior to that, you needed to be a Swede or a Swedish company to actually own tenements within the country. And that was a deliberate act by the Swedish government to open up the country to somewhat break the dominance of a couple of big players, i.e. Boliden and LKAB, and Stora Koppargruva, to mention a few, to really sort of encourage investment like what we have in the Australian market, for example. But what they also did in 1992 is they sort of created a bit of a rod for their own back in some respects, because they modified the law so that any information prior to 1992, nobody was legally obliged to actually provide that back through to the government, like what we have in Australia, for future companies to come in and base their work off to go forward. So it's quite complicated if the information doesn't actually sit within the Swedish Geological Society, to actually take that information and run with it. So having people with a background within the country, definitely helps. Eric's one of the preeminent experts on these type of ore bodies within Sweden, if not in the world. So and he's been a good mate of mine since going back into the mid-90s. So when we first started looking at these things, and I actually went down the Sala mine and back in the 90s with my father, so over 25 years ago, just couldn't believe the grades that they were mining out of the over 1,200 grams per tonne silver, and only ever mined down to 300 metres. So you just sort of look at that and compare that back to Australian style operations and think, there's got to be more down here. A Bellevue is a classic example of that. There's probably more of these types of opportunities out there, most definitely. And it's just a matter of, I think, not so much good fortune, but good fortune in that these projects are still there available for us. But this is where the beauty of having the risk capital available on the ASX, and for us as junior Australian companies to actually go in there and find these fantastic potential assets, I guess you could call them, and do a lot of brownfields work on them and build them back up to where they're supposed to be.
So what's the plan from here then, with the results coming out? Do we expect any other news flow for the next couple of months? Yeah, well, we've still got some more drilling coming through, which we're aiming to get into the maiden resource. We've still got 2 drill rigs spinning at the moment, and I know they're going through some really solid areas at the moment. We're expecting some good results, so I'm expecting lots of good news flow over the next few months. Peter, it must be exciting, particularly being able to get back over there now. Thanks for joining us today, and best of luck with that maiden resource, and hopefully we'll see a few more eye-catching intersections like you produced this week. Thank you.
Good on you, Dom. Thanks for your time.